Okay, so in finishing up yesterday, the last video, Ltan ended up being attacked by some giant slugs at the base of a mountain in between the mountains and the hills. And in order to have some form of visual representation, I went and used Asgar's fantasy map generator and generated a map until something came out looking close enough to what happened. For my pen and paper that I'm doing in testing this, I'm using Pocket Lands map cards. So instead of showing my poor attempt of drawing, I figured that this would be a better representation to use. So Ltan would have started here in Karshar. Let me make sure of, yeah, okay. So he would have started here in Karshar. Karshar has about 1,100 residents. And his first journey would have taken him just to about this side here of the mountains. There's a pass in between here. His first city or village or town of travel would be Jenjanou. And from here, he would swing out wider down to Sefrud, and then continue on from there. And the reason why he's taking this path is because he's trying to visit cities where he was told by his mentor that there would be someone there that he could learn something from. What that is, he doesn't know. He just knows that somewhere in the area there is somebody that he can learn something relating to his I just lost it. Something relating to his enchanting or blacksmithing or something in those lines of his expected career as you were moving forward. So after the battle with the slugs, it's going to take him another 4 days of journey to get to Jenjanou. So the next step that has to be done will be to go and look back at the guide. And get back to yes, this is the guide. And check against this to see if anything new occurs during the next 4 days. Get back out our dice. Okay. So I'm doing all these as a straight up 50-50. Not swaying the guide one way or the other. I do have information on how to change uh, what the how the guide can be adjusted for either a boon or a bane, I guess. Something that will either help the character or not. And that will simply adjust the yes or no answers to either be a more positive or a more negative um, result. But for these 4 days, everything is going to be just a straight up 50-50 chance. Nothing one way or the other, unless the situation deems it. For example, if he ends up going into an area where there's going to be hostilities, of course, that's going to be a more the roles will be modified for a more negative result. So if I ask, does Ltan avoid any sentries? Because he's in a hostile environment, it will likely reduce the yeses. And what that means is the yes and would just become a yes. The yes would become a yes but, and the yes but would become a no. And then your no would be or your no but. Your no but would be a no, your no would be a no and this would stay the same. So you can see how that can adjust for a more difficult roll result. And it makes a yes all that much more satisfying when you get it. So make sure that this, for some reason, there we go. Okay, and then we go back to the live mode. Alright. Now, let's turn this on, and we say, because this is going to be his journey into Jenjanou, so are there any events? And this is one thing that I really need to get better at, is writing while I'm talking. I can't seem to do that. Alright, so I rolled a 2. And looking back at the guide results, it's a no but. So while he didn't have any event, something obviously happened. And for the sake of just keeping things moving, I'm going to say that what happened was he was so thrown off by the giant slugs that he didn't realize that his backpack had been damaged, and he ended up losing a full day's worth of his rations. So he lost one day of rations, which is bad, but the fact that he is going into a city, he should be able to recover or somehow obtain more rations before he makes his next journey out of the city. But make no mistake, losing rations is not a good thing. So come in here, and he has rations for 2 weeks. We've already done 1, 2, 3, 12 days worth of travel. So yeah, it's good that this has happened, because he only has 1 day left. Okay, so, oops, that did not come out the way I wanted it to, so let me remove this. Then I will come back here and just click it there. Okay, so he has 1 day left on his rations. Now, we're going to need to find some place within the city that will allow him to go and get some rations. And we're entering into Jenjanou. I have issues talking sometimes. And we can go. Hopefully this does what I hope it will, and it did not. So let me add this as a source. Let's pop out maps, and then I select the window. There we go. Alright, so, and this is the city that he's coming into, Jenjanou. Now, if I remember correctly, he's going to be coming in from the west. So he's going to be coming in probably into, let's say, Everwood. The Everwood Street. So he's going to be coming in right through here. Now, let's see what. Going to tint the districts. We're going to weather the roofs. Going to change this to a more vivid coloring. There we go. Alright, now, don't really know what these districts would be, other than it looks like this is old Jenjanou and this is Old Wood. So these are just the districts of here. So coming into the new city, he'll likely go into Old Jenjanou, because that's going to be the place where most of the trade areas, for example, would be. If we, I don't like hip, I don't really care for Gable. We'll do the offset. Outline, building, solids, water. Do those. Okay. And I know that I'm taking a little time to get this done. I just want to There we go. Get this a little bit more how I would like the map to look. Okay, so again, we're going to come into Old Jenjanou. I'm going to state that this block here is more of the merchant block. With an opening for some of the crafters, so like the blacksmith, leather crafter, tailors, that kind of thing, to where they have their open work areas here in the back. And he's going to be looking for a place of not really an adventurer's guild. He's not really looking to be an adventurer. But he will stop by guilds of that nature to try and find where he could find more suitable work that is not necessarily tied to the crafters. So that's going to be one thing that he'll do, and I'm going to say that it's probably this building right here. And I can't zoom into it, but anyway, this dark green square is where he's going to be going. That's going to be the Adventurers Guild, and he's going to go in and ask if there's any odd jobs or anything that he can do for the guild, not necessarily for adventuring, but to earn a little bit of coin. And this is going to be, we'll still say a 50-50. I rolled a 6. Odd jobs at the Adventurers Guild. Okay, and bring this one down. There, okay, so I rolled a 6. No, and, it's not really a good roll. So, not only is he told no, but the local blacksmith happens to be there at the same time, and this really puts a bad taste in the blacksmith's mouth. So Ltan is not really making a good impression upon anybody. So this was a no. And so no jobs. And not really offended, but we'll say irked. The local blacksmith. With looking for the blacksmith perceived that Ltan is trying to take work from him. So with the perceived job stealing. Okay, so he's also going to need to find some place to stay. I'm not going to really roll this against the guide, because this is the person behind the counter, or that he's talking to at the Adventurers Guild, is going to help him. It's not going to just blow him off. They're not the ones who were offended. It was the local blacksmith that was. So when he asks about where he could find room to stay at least the night, the person in the guild isn't going to give him the best and most inexpensive but still safe and clean place. They're going to give them a little bit more, they're going to give Ltan a little bit more of an expensive place to stay, and also one that's not so savory. So he's going to give him two names. So 2 inns. One we're going to say is the Barking Dog. And then the other one is going to be the Horse and Carriage. Barking Dog is the more expensive and safer. And the Horse and Carriage is cheaper, but not so savory. Okay, so what are we going to do here? Ltan doesn't really know where he is. So let's see, I forget how much gold or coin I said that he had. And that's the experience. I never said how much coin he had. Okay, so we're going to say he has silver. And I'm going to roll 2d6. The first d6 is going to be the number that is multiplied by the second d6. And that will be, the second d6 will be times 10. So he could end up with like 120 silver or less. Let's see. Okay, so a 5 and a 6, so that's 30. Yeah, 30. No, wait a minute. Math. I don't think that's as much. I don't think I want him to have that much. Okay, so I said 6 times 10 times 5. Yeah, that's 300 silver. That's more than I want him to have. So we'll do the two die together. So that's going to be 30. He's got 30 silver. Remember, he comes from a not very wealthy family in a not so large village. Okay, so there we've got his silvers. Okay, so with these two, the more expensive one, I'm gonna roll 2d6 and add those. That's going to be 8 silver a night, and the cheaper one is going to be 3 silver a night. 3 silver does not come with any kind of meal, just a place to stay. And the 8 silver is actually going to have a single meal, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever. He can cash in one meal at that inn for every night that he's spent there. But it's not cumulative, it's only for one day. So, let's see. More expensive. Well, he doesn't know that it's safer. I'm going to say that he's going to go and look at the horse and carriage. And then, in order to make a decision, it's going to be a mental check. So, he's going to have to be able to identify that this place is not going to be where he really wants to stay. So I'm going to say that he's not unintelligent. He has enough social awareness that I think that if I take the number of die times the maximum number, so 5 times 6, that would be 30. That is the maximum number that I can have in a result. Divide that by 2, which means he needs to make a 15 or better roll. And if he makes that, then he realizes very quickly that he's going to want to put out a little bit more money because the area is not all that great. And 2, 6, so that's 8, 13. Yep, 13. So he does not, he just has no clue. He walks up to the horse and carriage and he's like, this place isn't half bad. He gets a room. Now, he might regret that after the first night. And I said this one was 3 silver. This one was 8 silver with 1 meal. Okay, so he takes the horse and carriage, and he stays 1 night. So that's going to be minus 3 silver. So we're down to 27 silver. Okay. Now, we're going to need to see if anything happens. Now, this is already going to be a not so savory place. So the guide is going to be adjusted, and while it's not necessarily using a skill, it's still going to follow the same guidelines as the skills in the guide. So it's going to be a negative adjustment. So if the action rolled is failed by a moderate or strong miss, the guide is changed to the next negative outcome. Okay, so I'm going to go with the moderate, meaning everything gets shifted down by 1. So the question, does he make it through the night without an event? And does Ltan make it through night 1 without an event. And I rolled a 5. And a 5 is yes, but. So this goes to a no. Actually goes to a no, but. So he doesn't make it through the night without an event, but he actually does wake up when somebody is trying to open his door. So somebody's outside his door trying to pick the lock, and he wakes up and realizes what's going on and is able to stop it. But that helps drive home the reality and the truth that he doesn't want to stay here another night. But I think that that's going to put us where I'm going to end for this little session. There's some more insights on how to use the guide and get the rolls. I do need to show off, or at least explain a little more on the combat. And the adjustment is shown here as far as the ranking for the results for the guide. They're organized the way they are for the roll results to kind of get the bell curve, the standard bell curve of the rolls, to where you don't statistically have the best rolls as often, so it makes it a little more meaningful, with the yes and the no ands on the ends at 1 and 6. And hopefully as I go through this, that holds true with all the rolls. But you can see that with the rolls and the fact that because of where he stayed, and it's not such a nice place, I shifted everything down 1. No and stays no and, no becomes no and, no but, no, yes but, no but, yes, yes but, yes and, yes. So that way you can shift things left and right, or up and down, depending upon what the benefit or lack of adjusts things. So that's going to do it for this short little session. Hopefully my meanderings through these are somewhat helpful as I go through, and I've already play tested these somewhat, but this will at least get more verbal thought out as to why I've done something, and that, as shown in the last video or the first video, helps with identifying where something doesn't really make a whole lot of sense when I say it out loud versus just thinking it in my head. There's a lot of times when you can think something through, it makes sense, but until you're saying it out loud, you're like, wait a minute, what? So thank you for making it through this, and as I get this farther along, hopefully the rules will change for the better, if they need to, or this will help make more sense of what is already there. So thank you, and see you on the next video.